Okay, let's talk about what's really going on in the silver market. And I'm telling you, if you think this is just some, I don't know, market noise or a little trade squabble, you are missing the biggest story out there. This is about supply chain capture, my friends, at the very highest level. And we're going to break down exactly what that means for you.
And get this is not a drill. This isn't some rumor. The US Navy is actively intercepting and rerouting strategic silver shipments. I want you to let that sink in. We're not talking about some paperwork delay or a customs inspection. No, this is physical intervention. They are treating silver like the absolutely critical strategic asset that it now is. So the big question, right? The one you're probably asking yourself is, why now? Why on earth would the military get involved in a market that, let's be honest, most people still think of for jewelry and silverware? Well, the answer reveals a fundamental tectonic shift in how the world operates. And we're going to walk you through every single step.
All right, first things first, we have to completely change how we think about silver. It's got a whole new identity. The days of it being just some pretty metal for fancy spoons, they are long gone. Its role in our world, in our technology, has been completely transformed. And here's the absolute key. These uses you see here, they're not optional. It's not like you can just swap it out for something else. Silver is literally engineered into the DNA of this tech. You can't build a modern solar panel without silver. It's like trying to build a computer chip without silicon. It just doesn't work. It is a non-negotiable, must-have ingredient for everything from green energy to our most advanced weapon systems.
And you know what? This is exactly what sent red flags flying all over Washington. The Department of Defense, the DoD, they ran the numbers, they ran stress tests. And what they found was terrifying. In a real crisis, the United States could not get its hands on enough silver to power its own defense industry. That dependency on foreign silver, it wasn't just a market thing anymore. It became a full-blown national security threat, and it had to be dealt with.
Okay, so to really get why this is a crisis, you have to understand that the silver market has basically split in two. It's like it has a split personality. You've got two completely different worlds operating under the same name, and folks, they barely even talk to each other anymore. That is the heart of this entire problem. So on one hand, you've got what we'll call the casino. This is the paper market, right? All the futures contracts, the ETFs, where the price is just a number on a screen, driven by bets and sentiment and a whole lot of leverage. But then you have the real world. This is the physical market. We're talking real heavy refined bars of silver that have to be delivered to an actual factory that needs it to build something. Two totally different ballgames. Now, for decades, these two markets were kept in line by something called arbitrage. Think of it like the market's referee. It was a simple mechanism, really. If the paper price got too cheap compared to the physical price, traders would swoop in, buy the cheap paper, sell the expensive physical, and make a quick buck. This simple act kept the prices connected. It was the glue holding the whole thing together, and it kept the system honest.
But here is the single most important point of this entire explainer. That mechanism is broken. The referee has left the building. The whole system, the whole thing only works if you can do one simple thing: actually get your hands on the physical metal. You have to be able to turn your paper promise into a real bar of silver. And that conversion process is failing, big time.
And this, right here, is the moment a market problem explodes into a national crisis. When the market for a resource this critical completely fails, it stops being about finance and Wall Street. It becomes about national security. And when that happens, you better believe governments are going to step in. They have to.
You know, this thing didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's been building for years. Look at this timeline. Back in 2016, the amount of silver being pulled out of the ground peaked. It's been flat ever since. Meanwhile, in just the last 3 years, industrial demand, we're talking solar, EVs, all of it, has gone vertical. It just exploded. Then, in the last 8 months, the cost to get real physical silver, the premiums, went through the roof. And that leads us to today. The final step. The US Navy steps in to grab whatever it can.
So how can they do this? Legally, I mean. Well, they're using something called the Defense Production Act. This is a hugely powerful tool that basically lets the government take control of supply chains when national defense is on the line. And here's what that really means for you and me. Silver is no longer going to the highest bidder. It's not about who can pay the most. It's now being sent where the government says it needs to go, all based on national interest.
So what happens next? What are the consequences of all this? Well, we are heading into a future where you have to ask yourself a very serious question. What happens when the price you see on your screen just isn't real anymore?
The market is trapped in what you could call a doom loop. It's a vicious cycle. Step 1. Industrial demand just keeps climbing. Step 2. The amount being mined stays flat. Step 3. The warehouses, the inventories, they get drained. But, and this is the crazy part, the paper market keeps the official price artificially low, completely suppressed. So what happens? The physical market has no choice but to break away, creating this mad scramble for the real stuff.
Just look at this. This chart shows you exactly what I'm talking about. This is the disconnect in black and white. The paper price on a futures contract might say 29 bucks an ounce, but if you want a real bar delivered to your factory or to your vault, you're paying $38. That $9 difference, that is not a premium. No way. That is the sound of the physical market screaming at the top of its lungs that paper and physical are not the same thing anymore.
And here is the engine driving this whole runaway train. 200 million ounces. That is the deficit. Every single year, the world is using 200 million more ounces of silver than every mine on the planet can dig up. Think about that. We are raiding the world's savings account of silver that's already been mined. And you know as well as I do, that cannot go on forever.
So, where does this all lead? There are really only 3 ways this can play out. Path 1, a massive global recession hits and crushes demand. Probably not going to happen, not with all the green energy projects locked in. Path 2, the paper market completely loses control and the price just explodes to ration the tiny supply. We're already seeing the start of that. But Path 3 is government control. Formal rationing, price controls, and friends, that is the path we are on right now.
So, what's the bottom line? What's the big takeaway from all this? It's simple, really. If you own paper silver, ETFs, futures contracts, you name it, your entire investment is based on one single assumption, that you can convert that piece of paper into a real physical piece of metal. But with the government now stepping in and literally redirecting shipments, that assumption, that ability to convert, is now in serious question.
And that leaves us with one last huge question. This whole mess forces us to ask, if the price you see on your screen isn't the real price, then what is? If the official number for a critical global commodity is basically a fantasy, then what does that say about every other price in every other market? Something you really need to think about.